There is a profound and terrifying misconception about the unseen dimensions that has kept you isolated, exhausted, and bleeding energy for far too long. You have been conditioned to believe that you are constantly being watched by the spiritual realms in order to be judged, punished, or tested for your perceived human flaws. That is a fabricated lie designed to keep you small. You are not being judged. You are being meticulously studied. You are being documented by hierarchies of entities, both of light and dark origins, because you possess a highly volatile, occult mechanism that they simply do not comprehend. You have the rare biological and spiritual capacity to transmute sheer, malicious darkness into raw, blinding power. The constant, crushing pressure you feel, the agonizing urge to shrink your brilliance and lower your frequency just to exist in average rooms without blinding ordinary people, is exactly what is draining your life force. You have been taught that vulnerability is a weakness, and that to be attacked is a sign of your own energetic failure. But when a spirit like yours is deliberately touched by malice, it is not a defeat. It is the immediate initiation of a terrifying, energetic retaliation. If you have recently noticed that the people who try to manipulate you suddenly see their own lives begin to collapse, or if the unseen attacks against you have inexplicably started to fail and backfire, go to the comments right now and type 777. Register your frequency. Establish your presence. Subscribe to this channel because the revelations I am about to share are systematically blocked from the algorithms of those who are not ready to hear them. My name is Enrico, and I have been observing the spiritual architecture of this world for a very long time. Listen to me with absolute focus. I am going to reveal exactly what happens in the unseen architecture of reality when a manipulator, a narcissist, or a corrupted entity makes the fatal mistake of crossing the boundary and touching a chosen one. We are not talking about mundane human conflicts or superficial disagreements. We are talking about the deliberate, calculated strike against your core. The moment someone you actively tried to heal decides to weaponize your empathy against you. When that line is crossed, the first invisible consequence immediately alters the fabric of the space around you. The unseen world goes completely, deafeningly silent. Angels, those beings of pure, unadulterated light, do not possess the capacity to understand the dark nuances of human betrayal. They are completely immune to darkness because they do not interact with it. They exist in a static, impenetrable state of grace. But you do not. You walk directly through the mud and the venom of human corruption. When you are attacked, when you are forced to process the heavy, agonizing venom of calculated cruelty, the celestial realms literally pause their operations to observe you in absolute awe. They are witnessing a technology of the soul that they do not possess. They are watching you take the poison of a broken world and synthesize it. As this celestial silence falls, the atmospheric pressure of the spiritual realm changes instantly. The entities that thrive on chaos, the parasitic shadows hovering around your abuser, suddenly freeze in absolute terror. They realize their human host has made a catastrophic miscalculation. This brings us to the second invisible consequence, the shattering of the intellectual quarantine. For months, perhaps years, you forced yourself into a suffocating, energetic confinement. You had to constantly monitor your words, dull your sharp instincts, and pretend you did not see their masks slipping, all just to keep a fragile, fabricated peace. You starved your own intellect so they would not feel small in your presence. You allowed them to feed on your empathy because you thought your light could heal their rot. But when they strike you, when they push their manipulation too far, they accidentally break the very glass that was protecting them from you. Your intuition snaps from a state of hopeful denial into a state of cold, surgical hypervigilance. The illusion dissolves completely. You no longer see a victim in need of your rescue. You see the parasite in vivid, undeniable clarity. Your empathy, which was a warm, flowing pipeline sustaining their fragile ego, freezes over. You withdraw your energetic supply. The exact moment you sever this cord, the third consequence is triggered, the violent reversal of vitality. These manipulative individuals operate entirely on a parasitic frequency. They lack the internal spiritual machinery to generate their own warmth, which is precisely why they provoked you. They manufacture chaos and deploy fake vulnerability just to study your micro-expressions and find the exact crack in your armor. But with your pipeline severed, they begin to starve energetically on the spot. They expected to drain you, but instead, they are met with a vacuum. At this exact moment, as the fallout of this spiritual warfare begins to materialize, you need something more than just awareness to survive the transition. You need the precise architectural blueprints of this duality. This is exactly why you must look at the description and the pinned comment below this video. I have secured exclusive access to the Wisdom of Solomon Code. This is not a collection of empty, toxic positivity or meaningless motivational quotes. It is a strictly guarded package containing the complete ebook and audio files designed for the practical mastery of this exact frequency dominion. It is the definitive manual for those who are ready to stop bleeding energy and start commanding their reality. And it costs less than a simple meal. Secure it immediately before it is removed, because what happens next to your attacker requires you to be completely anchored, unbothered, and established in your own supreme power. Once you are anchored and the parasitic cord is completely severed, the fourth invisible consequence is unleashed: the activation of geometric justice. You must understand that when you, a being marked by a significantly higher frequency, are intentionally damaged, the spiritual defense systems do not respond with gentle human forgiveness. They respond with absolute, terrifying, mathematical precision. The higher entities that guide and document your journey unleash a karmic boomerang so precise, so devastatingly calibrated, that it bypasses all of the abuser's earthly defenses and strikes the very foundation of their life. This is not about petty human revenge, it is about cosmic equilibrium. The universal laws simply cannot allow a corrupted, low-frequency vessel to siphon the energy of a chosen one without triggering a massive systemic immune response from the universe itself. The energy they sent toward you is magnified by the velocity of your own ascending frequency and sent directly back to its source. Because they are forced to absorb this massive rebound of energy, the fifth consequence begins to manifest within their physical and mental reality: the psychological rot of the tormentor. They will begin to suffer from a sudden, inexplicable insomnia. They will wake up in the dead of the night with a crushing, suffocating weight on their chest, entirely unable to articulate the primal fear that is consuming them. They are feeling the echo of the exact pain and confusion they maliciously tried to project onto you. But here is the critical difference. Because they do not have your spiritual antibodies, because they have never done the agonizing work of transmuting darkness, they cannot process this heavy energy. What was a temporary, albeit deep, sorrow for you becomes a permanent, maddening rot in their psyche. Their internal world becomes a haunted landscape of their own making. They cannot escape the low-frequency fog they generated because they are now trapped inside it, entirely cut off from your light. This internal decay inevitably breaches the surface, triggering the sixth consequence: the total, undeniable collapse of their engineered reality. The masks they have so carefully glued to their faces in front of society begin to slip uncontrollably. The universe orchestrates perfectly timed exposures, revealing their true, malicious nature to everyone they rely on for validation and supply. The people who once supported them will suddenly feel a deep, inexplicable repulsion toward their presence. You do not have to lift a single finger to make this happen. You do not need to seek revenge, launch a smear campaign, or exhaust yourself explaining your side of the story to anyone. Your only job is to stand completely still, remain entirely silent, and watch the architecture of their deceit crumble under the crushing weight of the universal laws they so arrogantly violated. Their isolation becomes absolute, not because you willed it, but because the environment itself rejects their corrupted signature. Do not ever romanticize the suffering you have endured to reach this point. There is absolutely no nobility in being an endless punching bag for broken souls who violently refuse to heal themselves. You were not given this immense, blinding light to be a martyr for the dark. The seventh and final invisible consequence is your rapid, irreversible evolution into permanent energetic severance. The attack that was meant to destroy you becomes the permanent seal on your aura. The frequencies of guilt, shame, and manufactured obligation that they once used to control you now simply bounce off your newly forged energetic armor. You become a total enigma to them. As your frequency skyrockets from the transmutation of this event, you physically and spiritually disappear from their radar. They can no longer read your energy. They can no longer predict your moves, and they are completely, permanently locked out of your future timeline. You are elevated into a dimensional frequency where their darkness cannot even survive the atmospheric pressure. You have taken their absolute worst poison, synthesized it in the high-pressure laboratory of your own soul, and turned it into the ultimate, impenetrable cure. This is the true mastery of the Chosen One. You are no longer prey waiting to be consumed in the shadows. You are the architect of a new, untouchable reality. Walk securely in this brutal, beautiful truth. Do not ever look back at the ruins of those who foolishly tried to bury you. And remember that your light is not a request for permission to exist. It is an absolute command.